Welcome back to the shop, everybody. Nathan Wilson, Driving Dreams. So I want to do a quick video. I just posted something on Facebook. I did a little short video of when I was in the process of powder coating this grill. And I kind of did briefly explain the process, but I got quite a lot of questions about it. So I thought I'd make a little bit longer video to explain that. So this is what the grills look like originally. This is a 65, but I use the same process on all the years. I do 61 to 67 here, mostly convertibles. So originally it was this kind of matte gray on the insides and then chrome on the outsides. And so what I do is I send these pieces off. I take it all apart. As you see, the 65 comes in 3 pieces, and you got to take the headlight buckets and all the other stuff out, all the screws and everything out, and you send it out to get chromed. And then when it comes back, it's all chromed, but it's kind of funky, almost like here's a bunch of more chrome that I'm putting on this car. So like this steering wheel is an example. This is supposed to be black inside the cracks there instead of being all chrome. And so, and I'll show you the process on that too. I powder coat that as well and use the same process. So this wouldn't, I don't think, really look right if it was all chromed. So especially on a black car, you powder coat this black, and then I'll try to put a clip of that video that I'm talking about. It was like 10 seconds, and I just was showing myself wiping this with my finger and kind of how I do it. It's pretty simple. And so when you spray it, you get it back from chrome, you spray the whole thing with the gloss black powder, or if you're going more original, you can do it in gray. And I've done that in the past. You do this with that same kind of gray powder coat, and then you just go along with your finger and you just wipe off wherever you want to be chrome. And you really pay attention, take your time. If you mess up and you accidentally like touch in here or something and wipe some of that off, you can always go back with your powder, put a little more powder. And if you don't have your own powder coating stuff, most guys that do powder coating will let you, you just tell them what you're trying to do, and maybe they'll do it themselves. But for the most part, you could probably go there and sit there, just say, look, you spray it with powder, I'll sit here, wipe all this off. And if you mess up and touch a little bit, they'll probably touch that up for you so you can, keep going along. But this whole, all 3 of these pieces, I think there was only one spot where I accidentally touched, like I was doing this part and my finger accidentally hit here. And I had to spray a little more powder to get it back on there. And you can use a cloth or a rag or a Q-tip, but really, honestly, I feel like my finger works the best, because like the harder you, like if you push a little harder, you'll get a little farther down into, the black, and you have a little more control over how much you want to take off or not take off. And you can kind of, I think pretty much get it perfect. So that was kind of the idea. And one of the other areas where the powder coating over the chrome really works out well is, like I was saying, with this part of the steering wheel here. If you wanted to, it doesn't look bad like this, but especially once you put these little pieces in, that being like all chrome like that, I think it's a little too much. And if you're trying to do a car all original like this one's all original motor, everything's going to be back just like it was from the factory pretty much. You'll want to make these black. So trying to paint this stuff, even this piece, if you were trying to paint that and tape off what you didn't want to get painted and all that stuff, it would be very difficult. So instead, you just take this whole piece, you spray the whole thing with the black powder, and then as you wipe your finger across this, your finger is only going to touch the outermost part, so it'll wipe all that off and keep that chrome. And I don't know if you can even tell, but there's a small crack. See if I can get this to focus. There's a small crack in there that's also supposed to be black. So let me see if I've got one here. There's the steering wheel. So these are things that when you watch the TV shows and stuff, they're all bullshit. They don't show you any of this stuff. The time that it takes to do this type of stuff, like even just to get this steering wheel back kind of, all nice and not cracked or anything. They're always cracked over the years. So I have one here. Let's see. This is off a 64 over here, but it's the same idea. So you see how And my camera's not focusing well today. See all these cracks here? Here's a great example right here. See how this is all cracked up? Well, pretty much most of these steering wheels are like this. Some worse than others, but still, even if it were just the lighter cracks, you know, you're doing a expensive high-end restoration. You can't leave that. So what I do is I use a bowling ball repair putty, and I get it into all these cracks really good, sand everything down first, get it down in all the cracks, kind of just like doing Bondo work. And then I sand that off, get it as smooth as I can. Then I primer it with an epoxy primer, and then we either powder coat or paint. A lot of times just paint for the actual steering wheel. Paint and clear coat, because you're usually doing whatever colors the car is. And then sometimes I'll leave these. I'll show you the 64 where we left these on, and then as you can see on that 65 wheel over there, I decided to just do it all solid. But this is the black that I was telling you about. Now you can see a lot better how that little slither in there is supposed to be black as well. Well, obviously trying to tape that and paint that would be very, very difficult. But it's actually really easy with the powder coating. So you spray the whole thing black, and then as you wipe your finger across this carefully, and that's why I kind of like using my finger, because you have a little more control than like a rag. The fibers will get down in there and it'll take that powder off. But your finger, you can control it, and you just take off the front, you know, the top like that. And again, I'll post that video where I was actually doing it, because that's what kind of started this whole thing. So I think I'll show you real quick. I think I actually have a steering wheel here that I was doing. It's like in an earlier stages. I was doing the bowling ball repair stuff and the putty, and so I just did like 4 steering wheels, I think. I primered first. I sandblasted the whole thing down, and then did the putty. And here's one too, kind of in the primer stage. So I try to, like, as I'm doing stuff, like as I've got that stuff out, I'll do, like, as you can see, multiple sets of seats. Those are both front seats from 65s. Got the seats for the 64 over here. All this chrome stuff. I mean, you can spend 30 grand on chrome for these cars, especially if you're doing everything on the inside. I'll give you guys a sneak peek of what's coming. This car is perfect. I'm really proud of my paint work these days. There's a bunch more chrome for this thing, and here's the grill on a 64. And so I'll kind of show you the difference. This one obviously is unrestored, and that's kind of how they always are. And then you'll send this out to be chromed. Depending on where you go, like Space Coast here in Florida, it's about 3 grand to have the grill chromed, and then you go back with the powder coat. And then really quickly, I'll show you guys, try to keep this video from getting too long. I'm old daily driver here, the 88, can't go wrong. So then you get it back from chrome and you do the powder coating. And if you're into this stuff and you're thinking about making a powder coat and oven and stuff, I would recommend it. They're easy to build. There's a million YouTube videos about building them, and it's a lot of fun, and it comes out pretty much perfect every time. The powder coating's always really nice, and it's easy. It's easier than painting, you know. So here's the 64 wheel done, and like I said, we left the little chrome pieces in this one, and so here is the powder coating in there after you wipe it with your finger. So like I said, trying to get those details with paint would be virtually impossible. And then you can use the same process on like the dash. You get it chromed, you spray it with black powder. So a lot of this stuff, this works with like all of this stuff. Now some people won't do it, like where it says wiper here, if I can get the phone to focus, like all that stuff, you know, originally it was dark and it was written in there and it said wiper. So if you want that to be original, you know, you got to spend that time and you got to do that stuff, and it's basically impossible with paint. It'd be very difficult, but with the powder coating it works. So this whole video came about from me posting a really quick thing. I was just in the process of doing it, and I thought guys would get a kick out of it in one of the Facebook groups, so I posted that and was showing wiping the finger and stuff, and And then I had all these questions. I was kind of surprised. So here's the grill. Here's another good example. So you just saw that 64 grill out there that was all original. And so, I mean, how much better to me, this looks a lot better. I could see, like, obviously this car, air ride, like tons of custom stuff, custom engine, all that stuff. So it doesn't make sense to, you know, try to keep it more original by doing this gray. But if you're doing a super original one, you could do the same process and powder coat the insides gray. But we literally did the same thing with this and just powder coated it, wiped every one of these little things with your finger, and that's the end result. And I think it's pretty nice, if I do say so myself. I don't know who that guy is, but I hope this video helped you guys, and we'll see you next time.